What if the most football-obsessed country on earth was a nation that barely cared about the sport just 10 years ago? That's exactly what's happening with the United States right now. And by the time you finish this video, you'll understand why the 2026 World Cup, hosted in America, might genuinely be the moment football changes forever. Not just for Americans, for everyone. Let's get into it. First, some context. Football, what Americans call soccer, is the most watched sport on the planet. Around 4 billion people follow it. That's more than half the world's population tuning in for the same sport. But the United States? For most of its history, football was basically invisible there. Americans had their own sports. American football, basketball, baseball. Football was something kids played in suburbs and then mostly forgot about. So here's where it gets interesting. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is being hosted across the US, Canada, and Mexico. And this isn't just any World Cup. It's the biggest one ever. 48 teams instead of 32. More matches, more cities, more everything. America is about to host the largest sporting event in human history. And something strange is already happening before a single ball is even kicked. The United States currently has the highest earning football league outside of Europe. Major League Soccer, or MLS, has exploded. Cities that had zero football culture a decade ago now have sold out stadiums every week. But that's almost the boring part. Here's what most people miss. The US Soccer Federation recently signed a media rights deal worth over $200 million annually. That's the value of domestic broadcast rights alone. In a country where football was still considered a niche sport, compare that to some of the biggest football nations in Europe. Why does money matter in football? Because money funds infrastructure, academies, coaches, youth development. The pipeline that turns a random 10-year-old into a world-class player takes 20 years and enormous investment. America is finally building that pipeline at scale. Now think about this. The US has 330 million people. It has a wealthy middle class that spends heavily on youth sports. It has infrastructure, technology, data analytics, and increasingly, genuine football talent. American players are no longer curiosities in European leagues. They're starters, stars even. Christian Pulisic plays for AC Milan. Gio Reyna has played for Borussia Dortmund. Weston McKennie has featured across top Italian clubs. These aren't fringe players. They're competing at the highest level in football. And here's the counterintuitive part. The fact that America arrived late to football might actually be an advantage. Other football nations have decades of ingrained habits, fixed ideas about how players should be trained. The US doesn't have that baggage. American sports culture is obsessed with data, optimization, and performance science. They apply those tools to everything. Football might be next. Now let's talk about what happens when 48 teams descend on American soil in 2026. Every major game will be broadcast across American primetime. Millions of casual fans who never watched a full football match will tune in. It's human nature. When something comes to you, you pay attention. The 2026 final alone is expected to draw over 2 billion viewers globally. 2 billion people watching one game. For perspective, the Super Bowl draws around 115 million viewers. One World Cup final pulls in 17 times that audience. When Americans grasp the scale of what they're hosting, something shifts, and that shift is already happening. Youth football registration in America has been climbing steadily for a decade. It's now the second most played youth sport in the country. More kids are playing football in the US today than are playing American football. That's not a small thing. That's a generation. So here's where we land. The US brings something no other country has brought to football before. The full force of American commercial power, sports science, cultural reach, and an enormous untapped talent pool, all pointed at a single sport simultaneously. It won't happen overnight, but football doesn't need America to win the World Cup tomorrow to be transformed by America's involvement. It just needs America to care. And right now, and for the first time in history, America is starting to care. The 2026 World Cup might not just be another tournament, it might be the moment the world's game became America's game too. And if that happens, football will never be the same. If you want to understand more about how football actually works, tactics, history, the biggest moments, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.